Hello and welcome to a special Leaders in Video presentation covering 5G orchestration. I want to especially thank our sponsors, Amdocs, Dell, Netcracker, and Fujitsu for putting up the money to bring you this information. My name is Phil Harvey. I'm the editor here at Light Reading. And joining me today is one of my colleagues at Omdia, one of the other companies owned by Informa, Stephanie Gibbons. Hi, Stephanie. How are you?
Hi there. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay, and thanks for spending a few moments with me. And by the way, I enjoy your podcast, the Carrier Network Software Podcast. That's out there in the Omdia sphere, so please do check that out if you get a chance. So I wanted to talk really quickly about what types of things are changing as 5G networks are coming online, especially in the area that you cover, carrier network software. How are things different now that we're kind of moving toward 5G?
Absolutely. I think whenever we have a conversation about network software, we have to start with telco transformation.
Hmm.
We've been talking about this for a decade at this point. To compete with the hyperscalers that initially were posing a threat, operators knew they had to undergo this sort of fundamental paradigm shift from connectivity providers to digital service providers. And in doing this, they started to explore SDN and NFV as a way to move from that hardware centric networking paradigm to running that much more software defined network. Now, that didn't always go as planned, but in the last few years, we've seen operators really start to move in the right direction. And that's that move towards cloud native operations and service delivery in 5G.
Yeah, that's interesting because it does the. Sorry, I might have cut you off, but the service delivery and 5G part is really the part I think that it gets really interesting from my point of view because now as you alluded to, we're talking going across physical, virtual, and cloud infrastructure to all these different devices. So it seems like as it's getting simpler, it's also getting more complex.
100%. That's what's really clear about 5G right now. Everybody says it, but this is not just another access technology upgrade. It's an intersection of so many major technology trends. And, we're still saying SDN and NFV here for sure. Cloud native, we're talking about the telco edge. We got to consider the IoT and then use cases. We'll talk augmented reality, smart cities, automated factories, autonomous driving someday, right?
Yeah,
And I
can't
think
wait.
those are the opportunities we'll say operators they are trying to capitalize on in 5G.
You might have answered my next question already, then, which is sort of thinking about how orchestration takes on a renewed importance in 5G networks. I'll comment on that specifically in that, like you were saying, service assurance, if you have to assure a service or essentially prove that it was delivered at the time and the latency and the parameters that you set forth, that just seems like it gets, first of all, it can't be a manual process. And then second of all, it seems like it gets also a lot more challenging as you're spanning multiple types of networks and multiple devices. Does 5G add a unique challenge to that part of orchestration?
5G does, and then just carrier network software in general. It adds significant
Hmm.
complexity to what we would call a brownfield network. You have a lot of these companies that are coming in, they're born in the cloud. Integrating software onto their networks is significantly more simple to do. But we're dealing with operators that have brownfield networks, have to integrate software, retrofit them onto what they've invested in for decades. And I
Yeah.
think that's where 5G orchestration comes in. And for telecom and here at Omdia, we use that term to refer to the arrangement of those everyday network activities like provisioning and billing and inventory management, which has become a really good priority for some of the telco vendor partners.
Mhm.
But the situation that gets so complex that it's those tasks that need to be automated and then orchestrated, or in my mind, I look at it as arranged into a workflow to
Right.
then get sent over to the telecom customer. And in the end, when it comes to 5G and all of this complexity that I'm talking about, the 5G orchestration is necessary for any operator that wants to do this as cost effectively as possible, and then more importantly, at scale.
Mm. Yeah, at scale is also the important thing there. That's a great comment on, I guess, on the challenges that the carriers are faced with right now. It's not just delivering 5G services, but once you unlock, and put the promise of 5G out there, enterprises are going to want to run more IoT devices, and people like me are going to have two or three or four devices that connect to 5G, whereas before I only really just had a phone that connected to the cellular network, and that was it. So that's one layer of that complexity. What other types of challenges does does this sort of unlock for service providers?
You know, before I would consider any challenges around that complexity or orchestration. I know from where
Hmm.
I sit in Omdia, one of the biggest challenges operators are faced with today is this, honestly, a sense of urgency. I
Hmm.
mean, I mentioned earlier that they've been undergoing this transformation for over a decade. And I would say at first there was some wiggle room in the industry leading up to 5G. We had a few years out, but 5G is here. It's being commercialized, and the cloud players, the large cloud players, have entered squarely into this telecom space over the last couple of years. And this has created a sense of urgency for operators to really catch up or accelerate these efforts. They really do have to make decisions around carrier network software and telco cloud and 5G orchestration a lot faster.
Hmm.
And that's always been a challenge in the telecom space, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the types of companies, maybe this is understated sometimes, but the types of companies that these guys are or have completely changed, and their buying cycles have gone from 18 months to 18 minutes or whatever. Um, I mean, maybe not that quick, but
I take
the
your point.
time to decision is definitely a barrier to getting to the next step. What do you see? Let's go ahead and wrap up. I don't want to, I know Omdia will think I'm a client and start charging me, so I need to wrap up quickly and not use too much of your time. Um, what's the what do you see happening in the remainder of the year as it relates to 5G orchestration? What should we be expecting?
I mean, we've just talked about a ton of uncertainty, but this isn't all doom and gloom. I really do think telcos have a strong opportunity to participate and refine in 5G. And when it comes to orchestration, I do think a lot of these telco partners understand the challenges we've been talking about, especially around some of those interoperability issues, and more network automation at the operations level. We're seeing so many of these companies come in with cloud native platforms designed to help remove that complexity that operators are dealing with today when it comes to 5G orchestration and network software in general. So really, I would say that as the telco partner system continues to expand to the regular vendors, our ISVs, our SIs, the telco cloud players, I think they're really going to help operators make these decisions a lot faster this year.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, well, let's leave it there for now. On behalf of my colleague Stephanie Gibbons, thank you so much for taking some time, and thank you at home or wherever you might be for watching this video. For Stephanie, I'm Phil Harvey at Light Reading, saying goodbye.